everyone, to another Plate Stack chat with me, Jason, joined by Tom and Sam as usual. But very happy to sort of welcome back to the Plate Stack. We have our guest host today, Kat Shearer from Catalyst CrossFit, as well as the Clydesdale Fitnessing and Friends podcast. Kat, welcome back.
Thank you. Are you sure you're welcoming me or you're not sure?
Well, I'm sure I'm welcoming
you. You're kind of welcoming. Okay.
Well,
it didn't feel very welcoming, Jace, I'll be honest. Like.
Here we go.
Unlike CrossFit HQ, I like to be precise in all things. And therefore, you've been on the podcast before.
Correct.
However, you were on a bonus episode. You've never been on the podcast proper.
And
you've definitely never been on the live show. So, that's why we're happy to have you back with us, but with us officially for the first time as well.
I love it. Well, thank you for having me back. And just one correction, it's CrossFit Clarity, Catalyst Fitness. Catalyst Fitness.
There we go. So just like CrossFit.
So you are just like CrossFit HQ, yeah.
So close. So close.
Yeah.
Catalyst Fitness. Thank you.
Catalyst Fitness. Well, I knew that Catalyst was, I think, in the email that I sent you. So that's why okay. All right.
What one length being down or down and back, it's there or thereabouts the same, isn't it?
No big deal.
Or men's weights, women's weights. Who needs a difference? Let the women lift the men's weights. That's what I say. So, speaking of, for today, so we kind of got a couple of things we want to cover today. A little bit of CrossFit news to begin, especially as the two standardized semi-final workouts have been released today. So it'd be nice just to get some opinions, some thoughts. What did the intern do this time on the Instagram account? A few of those things. And then maybe revisit a few points from last week that we kind of wanted just to, I don't know, clarify, I suppose, is the right word. And there's some other stuff. There'll be lots of stuff. But I'm going to throw out there now. We usually wait till the end to do this. But if you're watching it live on YouTube, please jump in the comments so that we can, bring you into the conversation. It's supposed to be a community podcast. If you're watching it on YouTube after the fact, still say something in the comments. Apparently, it helps with the algorithm. Like the video, subscribe if you're not. If you're listening to it after the fact and it says a podcast, maybe leave a review. I don't think we've ever asked anyone to leave a review, but do that. And then, as always, get 5 of your friends and force them to listen to the podcast as well. And while you're doing all of this, why don't go and do the same for the Clydesdale podcast as well? Just,
there you go.
If you're in a generous mood, do that. And as they probably have a lot more listeners, if you're here for the Clydesdale Fitness podcast, make all of those people come over here as well. That would be really
That'd be great. Yep.
Okay, admin's done. Right, semi-final workouts. Over to you guys. What do people think?
A repeat.
Oh, Kat was huffing, so let's go straight there.
A repeat. So I personally do not enjoy repeats for my own self, just like I do not appreciate benchmark workouts, because as I age as an athlete, I do not like to see my scores deteriorate over the years. And my gym, I'm very cautious in my gym to not create anxiety for my members. And so we don't do benchmarks very often because they create a lot of stress. Now, that's just for health, right? This is sport. Love it. I think it's great. I think I enjoy the apples to apples comparison. There is, and I'm talking about the 2014 rope climb sprint event is what we're talking about. The one where Elijah Muhammad, ascends the rope in a pull and a half and races away to victory in that final event. I think it was 8 years ago when we did this workout. And my only complaint or critique might be that we could have probably raised it up a level since our fitness has gotten better, presumably in the competitive space in 8 years.
Well, how would you have modified it?
Oh,
just stuck a weight vest on them.
I'm not a solutions person. I just complain about things.
Would be epic.
I like to complain about things and let other people solve for it. I don't come up with solutions.
I've got a suggestion.
Oh.
And recognizing that the athletes there are, likely going to have very good capacity when it comes to legless rope climbs. Easy Mohammed gave a spectacle, right? But it was in 2014 when rope climbs were still kind of pretty new, relative speaking, or at least the sport was. I know people have been climbing ropes for hundreds of years, but at least within the sport of CrossFit. So my suggestion would be they're legless. That's great. Starting from seated, for every round, because then what you remove is height. And you reduce the advantage of height and the ability to jump, because and then you could be like, but that's part of the sport, and it's like, well, that's fine, but just recognize that you're going to have some athletes who can kind of like, jump and do an easy Mohammed and do it in a pull and a half, whereas you're going to have some who can't. So that would be my suggestion if we really want to make it a tough legless rope climb, from seated every round.
I think that's good if you're doing it for a tough seated legless rope climb.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's kind of the way that we're going, why don't we give all the short people like a box to stand on when they do wall balls, or like a shorter rower, or do you know what I mean? Like there has to be some variance in if I'm tall, there has to be some advantage of that, because in the rest of CrossFit, generally speaking, there are not many advantages of being tall. But you'll probably see. I don't know how tall's Guima. Do we know how tall he is? He's like 6'1", is he? Maybe. Probably look that up. But
I'm not sure it matters for Guy. He could be 5'5". He's still winning this.
He's still gonna spring his way up there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm shouting you down a bit quick there, Tom. But I think that that would certainly be a better, a fairer test of fitness. Whether I'm tall-ish.
Yeah. Hey,
I can't do legless rope
like,
climbs, but I'm not
height,
really athlete.
Strength, weight, fitness, cardio, endurance, they all come into it, right? Like, I completely get that. I guess, like, just for something like those two things, running and legless rope climbs, it's not kind of like as part of a wider workout, right? Because you could say, like, if we, is it Karen, 150 wall balls for time? Is that the talking benchmarks, right? That's going to be some people's wheelhouse versus not others, right? So
not mine.
Jason's like, nope. Same here.
Yeah. But you could. What would have been interesting is to make it 2 legless rope climbs, but a no touch the floor.
Filthy 150 style.
Filthy 150 style. So you can jump the first one, no problem, but you have to come down and then go back up without touching the floor, which I think that would be really interesting. Keep the run the same. You could even make it the same distance every time, rather than having to kind of move your way up. Almost, you could, or start closer, because those legless rope climbs are going to take. Obviously, they're the bit that take the time if you're not touching the floor.
If we're going down and back at that point, what I want is a big pit, and I'm like, you've got to climb down the rope into the pit and climb back up and out,
like a deficit rope climb.
And an element of danger to it. That's
well, if it rains at Granite Games, it'll be a lot like the Filthy 150. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, regardless of whether you jump or not, there's like skill involved, right? So if you're jumping to 7.5 foot or 8 foot, well, you've got to be able to catch, and you've still got a way to go. Is it the same height, 15 foot? Is that what we had in 2014? I don't know, but so
I believe it is, because Easy was jumping sort of 10 foot and then pulling two pulls max, 2.5 max, and then like 1.5 for the first 5 rounds. Which was, I've actually just watched that. I was like, this is so good.
I think I like that idea. Actually, I think the seated is a little savage. I kind of like that idea. I think the only problem is it slows the action down so much. You're sprinting and then you have to stop and be in control and sit down and establish that before you come up. But it's definitely interesting to think about. Would make it a lot harder.
Yeah, and with a time cap of 11 minutes and 10 rounds, they're wanting speed, right? So actually it's supposed to be frantic. So it and actually, getting down the judge, like the practicalities of it, it'd be like, did that athlete's butt touch the mat? I'm not sure. It's like, I've got a big butt, all right?
Right.
I'd certainly win the big butt competition.
Then you got to get it up the rope, right?
I think that with a handstand walk would be interesting. instead of a run.
Ooh.
That'd be crazy.
Ooh.
Your arms just.
That would be 2022 though, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is it? When I first saw it, I was just a bit like, okay. Like it. The more I think about it, I think, it will probably be fun to watch. You know, like rope climbs are always fun
Yeah.
to watch, and
it'll be exciting for sure. My other concern is with the judging and the timers, right? I hope they have chip timers because you're going to get some photo finishes for sure. And you cannot rely on judges to accurately start their watches at the same time. It just doesn't happen.
That was an interesting. So I've been having conversations today with Tyler, Tyler Watkins, about, and because we've been talking a lot about like Z scoring, and that is an interesting one because you could finish less than 2 seconds behind somebody and get 40 less points.
Sure.
You know, which. And it goes back to the conversation. It's not really a conversation for now, but it goes back to the conversation: are we testing fitness or are we testing the placement of people? Because that
I'd be
event
interested
you might
to see.
finish.
I'd be interested to see if they have a tiebreaker too. There should be some kind of tie break, which again is just a little more stressful for judges because you have to, be paying attention in the middle and writing something down while you're judging. But we'll see.
You could have like a good tie break would be like the fastest like first lap or something, like the first out and back would be a good tie break, or the fifth out and back or something like that would be a cool tie break. But how you would know what that is as a judge, that would have to be someone off of the floor checking that out, or a chip timer, because you could have chip timers at every.
Usually tie breaks are the responsibility of the judge, but it's like on your scorecard and it's briefed that way. I don't know. Be interesting to see. And a lot of times it's unfortunate with the semifinals. A lot of times those tie breaks aren't known to the fans, right? No. They may be known to the broadcast. So if you're not in person and you're watching, you will be privy to that information. But if you're just there live, you're sort of in the dark and you don't know what it is.
Yeah. Sometimes as long as it is, because it can be one of those things where it's like, when you get back to the rope, you have to touch the rope kind of thing. And it will be like somebody will get there, wait, because they've got enough time to maybe make a rope climb, and then they'll jump up, go for the climb, maybe get halfway up and run out of time. And somebody else that ran, grabbed the rope, maybe got there after them initially, but grabbed the rope, didn't even really try the rope climb, and then on the tie break, like they'll be ahead because that athlete was waiting to actually attempt it, kind of thing. And that's where at times, if that's not been clearly communicated, the athlete was like, well, I was there. If I'd known you needed me just to touch the rope, I'd have just touched the rope and then got away from the rope to kind of shake up.
That's the interesting thing. So that's what I'm really hoping, that the CrossFit or the semi-final organizers nail that down like before, because we've had it at other events where we didn't expect them to all get capped, or we didn't expect them to finish this quick. Let's add in something after the first set of people, and then it all gets a bit blurry. And I can't remember it. I can't remember exactly when that. Kat, you will definitely remember when that was. But
West Coast Classic was one of them too, where they were out on that ruck run, and there wasn't. It wasn't very clear what those. And I was at that athlete briefing, and I didn't quite understand it. But again, I don't have a lot of skin in the game, so I wasn't paying attention as much as I should have been. But yeah, that'll be important.
I think on that, there was the yoke carry one at the games, right, where loads of people finished in where there was that rounds and quite a lot finished, and Castro's being clear, he's programming where he only wants a third of people to finish or something. So, but I think it's easier to predict when you're doing more classic CrossFit style workouts, because you've got a little bit of a better idea of kind of the rate of progression for various levels of athletes. But then the athletes keep getting better, so there's always the potential. But if you bring in something like a yoke, then you're going to have maybe a broader distribution of performance. Like PKG is just I was born carrying a yoke, right? It's just kind of what we do up there. But maybe like rope climbs and kind of running, it's a little bit more like, okay, 170-foot rope run is going to be this, that, or the other. So, but we'll see.
The interesting
Maybe
one
we'll have
practically.
a shuttle run repeat, and what they'll do is it will be a 5-foot rope, and you'll have to go up and down and up, and that's 1 rep. And they just like, we never said it was a 15-foot
It's true.
straight rope. It's a very short rope that you've got to climb up and down and up again, and that's 1 rep.
Have you guys used a short rope before on a rope climb?
Is in off the floor?
As in, yeah. So I have one rope here that is just meets the floor. It doesn't. There's no slack at the bottom
It's
at all.
so hard. It's
so hard.
I went to an obstacle course race place the other day, like locally, and I was like, because I'm a bit bigger than the average bear, not great at obstacle course racing because it's all upper body and carrying your body weight around. I was like, I will nail this rope climb. That's something I can do. Jumped up on the rope, was like, oh gosh, this is not the same. They were both about a foot off the floor, so they weren't even sort of touching the floor. They were like off the floor. No chance. You know, I just getting the grip on that rope, and there's nothing to steady it. And you're like, where do my feet go now? Like, why is the rope flinging and hitting me in the head? Like,
yep.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Small detail.
But that
difference.
as you say, that could be an interesting one.
Right. Well,
the other thing, sorry, the women, the women. So there was no like standout ladies in that one particularly, but I reckon I'll be interested to see. Well, practically 170 feet is like 51 meters, 51 point something meters. That's no good anywhere in Europe. Like all of the floors are going to have to be in feet rather than in meters, right? Now,
Oh yeah.
But normally normally we measure in meters, so you get your rigs at whatever amount of meters and in Europe, but we'll see how that works. That pans out. Rogue have probably got it covered everywhere, I'd imagine.
Obviously, I'm pretty sure all tape measures have feet and meters on both sides. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I trust these guys. I think if they can,
Well,
if they've been able to put on a semi-final using a tape measure, should really be the.
I don't know.
No worries.
Have you met Gavin Ian CrossFit Glasgow? Like, I'm not sure they can do that. Like, but the other one is seeing how fast. Like, do we think anyone's going to break that 330? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You think really? Yeah. I suppose Guy's probably faster than Easy, like actually moving up and down, because he didn't seem to be running that fast. Like he would just straight up and down the rope.
The interesting part about it is now we have a time, right? Anytime you have a time to go for, I think you can push a little bit more. And the women for sure will be much better at this. Yeah. I cannot wait to see Danielle Brandon do this one.
She's just a savage every day of the week. Yeah.
She's going to crush this one. Very excited for that. And it'll be cool to just see how much fitter everyone's gotten.
Barbell complex. 3 cleans, 2 front squats, 1 jerk.
I don't hate it.
Kat doesn't hate it. That's what we. Okay, moving on.
I'm a bit sad that because that's likely to be the strength piece, right? So I'm a little sad that that's the strength piece, because like, yes, it's great, but you're not going to see any like spectacularly heavy barbells. Like you'll see heavy barbells, obviously, but you've got to do 3 reps, 3 cleans. So you're going to see that's a lot of work for 1 barbell. So I don't think you'll see anything like spectacular. It'll be obviously by the time you get to the jerk, everything's going to be like, yeah, everyone's going to be buzzing for it, but it's not like a 1 rep max of anything. So this will be, and they're not going to then program another strength piece in 6 events. So this is going to be it, really.
Yeah. There's going to be there's going to be some heartbreak.
It's going to be probably all of the women will at least be doing more than my 1 rep max for any one of those things in a combination. So for some of us, it will be very much like watching our 1 rep max. But yeah, I don't know. It's we've been doing so many complexes like in training recently, and it's always amazing how you think, oh, it's not that. It's just like what 4 reps, really. I mean, that's fine. I can do that, and you kind of get to the final one, and then you're like, oh, and now I have to jerk it. No,
Mhm.
really?
Mm.
It wasn't this heavy when I picked it up.
But your percentages just after like 3 reps, your percentages just like fall off a cliff. So I'd be interested to see like the heaviest.
Yeah, and it's good with them having 3 attempts. So it's like you could do the one that you're kind of sure about, the one that you think this is going to be a good one, and then you can go for that final one that's like
And the home run.
let's see if everything lines up perfectly. I'm going to get this one. So it's always I like those. They're always fun to watch, aren't they?
So one of the things I'm wondering though is like obviously these have been announced as like event 1 and an event 2. Is that the day 1? Are they? Is that how it's going to be set up, or are they going to be free to just put those in the kind of wider semi-final as they see fit? So
Yeah, they can put them anywhere they want, is what I understand.
Yeah.
And Syndicate Crown has released all of their workouts, and they have the big lift first, and that's very customary for MAC. The MAC in the past always starts out on a Friday night with a heavy lift. That's just their thing.
Right.
So they put that first, and I believe the rope climb one is maybe like 3rd or 4th. It's not last like I was hoping, because that would be a really fun sort of finale, but it's in the middle somewhere.
We've got Tyler in the comments. 3 attempts for the pros, and then 135, 205, 335. Lol, sandbag. Honestly, this guy. Yeah, I think it would be cool if they all put the rope climb 5th, because it was 5th in 2014 in the sanctional, right? So that'd be quite cool. But were there more events? There were more than 6 events in a regional.
No,
That's a
usually
question,
there were
not
6.
Okay.
Yeah, there usually were 2, 2, and 2.
Okay. Yeah.
How about the team? How about the team workouts? Did you guys take a look at those? There's a snatch ladder. I felt bad for the event organizers that have to coordinate a team snatch ladder along with, this other 1 rep max event, because they are very different from a floor setup perspective and just a lot of logistics. So hopefully, we're finding out now, presumably the event coordinators have known about these for quite some time.
You'd have to imagine, wouldn't you? Well,
I mean anything goes this year, really. They may still not know.
They probably found out the weights on Instagram and then realized that they were wrong.
I did ask Ollie that today. I saw him today, actually. I said, I've seen that the semi-final workouts have been released. He's like, yeah. I was like, tell me you'd seen them before today, please.
Yes.
No. He had to find out through morning chalk-up.
Who are the media?
Well, here's something interesting. So Morning Chalk Up did Brian Friend and Tommy Marquez did a show discussing the 2 workouts that were released. And Lauren Khalil has got her tonsils out like a couple weeks ago. So her voice has been very compromised, and she's been getting much better, and she sounds a lot better. And when this aired today, she sounded worse. And I wonder if maybe they recorded it a couple weeks ago, because she sounded like she did on day 3 of her recovery and not on day 2 weeks. So I asked her, she hasn't responded, but I texted her and I was just hey, you sound really bad today. Are you relapsing, or, did you record this prior to? Because I'm pretty sure, my guess is they recorded it prior to. So they're pretty good at keeping secrets.
That's some good sleuthing, that is.
Yeah, I don't miss a trick. So the continuity was just off for me, because they've been doing a lot of YouTube videos, so I've been seeing a lot of them on screen.
You used to be able to like judge the time continuity on the length of like Brian's beard and things like that, but it's not so
I love
easy
that
now.
Stuff. There's a whole section on IMDb. Do you know what IMDb is?
Yeah.
Where they have continuity
errors. Yeah.
issues. That's like a hobby of mine.
It's like in Ben-Hur when the plane flies over the back, and then there's a guy wearing a wristwatch. It's like, okay.
That's not correct. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy goes from scene to scene and her braids change length. She has long braids, and then they'll clip back and her braids will be like here and there. It's just like 2 different days of
40s or 30s, whenever it was made. I'm not sure they were too hot on continuity.
Yeah.
But nowadays they should be better, right?
They should get you to check video submissions, and
Yeah.
you're like, well, something's off here. Clearly, this
Yeah.
person looped something.
Like a loop.
Yeah.
Look at the shadow; it moves backwards.
11 platforms. Just going back to leaving IMDb for a minute. Going back to this, 11 platforms is a lot of platforms.
Is that
That's
how
a
many?
lot.
Is that how many barbells there are in that?
Well, it says there are 10. There are 11 weights.
Jeez.
For males, it's 185, 195, 20. It basically goes up in tens from 185 to 285.
You know what would be really cool to do it on like a timer. So like the first team goes out and they only have like say 20 seconds before the next team goes out, and there's this element there where like you kind of lift, and then if you've got a teammate ready to go, you can kind of like try and skip the other ones. It's a health and safety nightmare, right? But it'd be great to watch.
I remember they did that.
Very entertaining.
They did that at the European Championships, 2018, 2019. They had basically it was a lift off and it was a ladder, but one person then went like from each bar all the way to the top. Like you'd start at the rig and you'd work your way out to the crowd and the last lift, and then on the last one you could put on whatever you wanted, which was interesting. But you only had, I think you had 20 or 30 seconds to do your lift, and if you didn't do it in that time, that was it.
Right. I'm just thinking, remember, was it the Australian CrossFit Championships where they did the kind of beach, it was like, it wasn't tag, but you know, they had to run and get the flag, so beach flag or whatever it was, and there was one less flag than there were athletes running. I just think kind of like one less barbell than people, and just like, wow.
That would be cool.
Oh, very dangerous.
That would be such a cool event on the rope climb. Every round there's one less rope.
You got to go find it.
Oh my gosh! So then, but then every round someone's gone, right?
Right.
Oh, that'd be so
like Survivor.
good.
Until Katrin gets a broken nose getting kicked in the face by like Jacqueline Dahlstrom.
Occupational hazard.
That's it.
Anyway,
They just sort of cut one rope each round, and you didn't know which one it was.
You just jump on it, land on the floor.
Now we've moved to Hunger Games, right?
So I was part of a competition this summer that happened. A rope came off of in the middle of a rope climb. Yeah, it was scary.
Because they're pretty heavy as well, right?
Fun.
But yeah, not just for the person who fell off the rope, but for like everybody around, surely, because that rope's going anywhere.
Right, and then you're in the middle of the competition. What do you do? How do you proceed? It was fun.
Everyone carries on.
Yes.
Person lays lifeless on the floor. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, are we going to mention the Instagram post itself for the snatch ladder?
The typos?
Yeah. Just,
Are they letting the interns do the media again?
I mean, could we say again, CrossFit just doesn't care about kilograms and all those?
I'm
going to say poor like European athletes. Sorry, poor athletes in all the other parts of the world.
Everywhere.
But,
I think it's a mistake, right? It's like, you know, it's a copy and paste error, right? And they've forgotten to do that. And you could say it's maybe the probability of that oversight taking place is increased because it's the kilo side, so it doesn't automatically look unusual, right? Because if the person writing the post is used to writing in pounds, but like, I mean, there are many worse mistakes that could be made and have been made, right? So I'm kind of like, you know, I've adjusted my expectations, and I'm like, you know, and I think it's easily done.
We're very desensitized.
I know I've done it.
Yeah.
But have you done it to like? That's a really easy thing to say, right? They're a multi-million-dollar company. You should not be screwing that stuff up. Like, I would expect it from like Auntie Maud's flower shop down the road, putting the wrong prices on the flowers or something. But you don't like. This is the official Instagram of the CrossFit Games that's going out to like millions of people. And if it was the first thing they'd ever done, though, then I would be like, yeah, okay, that's a silly mistake. But like releasing on YouTube the workouts for the Open before they were even announced is like,
Yeah.
If it
Twilight
was the
Zone.
first,
Yeah,
if it was the
that's
first
different,
thing, I
right?
get it.
Like those two things are very different, right? A copy and paste error on an Instagram post and the workouts being released on YouTube by mistake early, right? So like, and I think you got to be careful about kind of like lumping them together, right? You know, and you could be like, oh well, someone should have checked, you know, who's proofreading this, but like, I don't know. I'm just like, you know, it's an easy mistake to spot, right? It's not like getting the dates wrong and people booking flights for the wrong weekend, right? The implications of that are a lot less, right?
Although I agree with you in part, Tom, but you know, saying it's like a copy and paste error on an Instagram post sounds more like, you know, they've written kind of something in the comment, sort of like on the text, and they've copied and pasted it. Whereas this is a graphic that's been, you know, and they would have checked that, like, oh, we'll make sure that they're perfectly spaced out, all the things, everything's in line. You look at it a little bit more closely than you do just kind of text in a document. But I'm kind of with Sam, but not all the way. That I just think like if it was me, like if I'd messed up like 2-3 times, I'd start being like so careful with everything. Just like, I'm just not going to give them any more ammunition. Like, I'm going to be so careful now. And then let's release the workouts. Like, people have been waiting for this. A lot of people have been waiting for this. The athletes, the media, the fans, they're all going to, you know, they're going to watch this more than half the other posts we put out that are just kind of, well, yeah.
Well,
I'm the guy who
putting out at the moment, but just like maybe double check, triple check, ask your friend, send it over to Chalking Fitness and be like, hey, you post up a lot of graphics. How's this look? And maybe you've picked up on it.
Well, there's a point. I'm normally the guy who does this, right? I'm always the guy who just rushes it through, doesn't check it, just put it up, hope for the best. Like, I write risk assessments on a regular basis for multiple building sites, and I've often got the wrong name of the building site on the wrong set of RAMs. Like that happens. It makes me look stupid. Like, it makes me look unprofessional. It makes me look, you know, it's just a bad vibe for our whole company. It makes everyone look silly. But there's only about 5 people who read before there's only about 5 people who see it before everyone else sees it, right? And that don't work for us. When you put it out on Instagram, it needs to be right. You're a multi-million-pound company, and I get it that it happens, but it shouldn't happen. You know, it shouldn't happen in a company that big.
Maybe them being a multi-million-pound company is the problem. If they were a multi-million
dollar.
company, yes.
Did they fix it? Did they fix it and repost it?
Yeah. I think they just.
Or they went in and.
I think they just maybe. On that same post at the moment, I think they've just removed the
one picture.
Just removed that slide. It was 6 slides. Now it's 5.
Good grief.
I'm gonna.
Oh wow!
So there was another element to me, like kind of like dismissing it, being like, oh, you know, it's a typo. Let's move on. Other than trying to be kind of positive, but that's one of my reasons. Because Jason, you've mentioned this before, is that like there's a lot of stuff going on in the space right now, and you've mentioned it, and I've gone with the argument that, regardless of the mistakes being made at HQ or in posting the wrong pounds or kilos, it doesn't change what's going on in the boxes and in the affiliates day to day. But you, Jason, you've made the point in the past that like, but the media then focusing on the typo on Instagram is detracting from the good that's going on elsewhere. So in a sense, I was trying to channel the previous thing you'd kind of said to me, which was like, let's not make too much noise on the small stuff and try to make good noise for the positive stuff.
I think it's all right. I think we're 34 minutes in. 20 minutes we spoke about rope climbs, so I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah. Okay.
I think on balance,
I'm not slamming, and just sort of for the record, I'm not slamming. What I'm slamming is the fact that someone needs to proofread that. That doesn't take away from what people are doing in the boxes. I have thrashed myself this week in the box, and I absolutely loved it. And I know that, you know, that it's the best feeling. But we're not at the moment. We're not talking about what's going on in boxes, because I've got so much good stuff to say about all the affiliates all across the world. It's just one Instagram post, right? So essentially, who cares? But it's one Instagram post that I could be critical about, so I'm going to. Because we brought it up. There's a whole ton of stuff that that I'm hoping we're going to sort of talk about in the next half an hour.
I think never has the phrase. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. No, I'm not mad. I'm just not surprised.
Right.
But moving on, if we're happy to have talked about that, I mean, at the moment they're just a post on Instagram. We're all going to have the opportunity, I think, to see some of these live. So I think that's going to be. We'll have more to say after that, right? Once we actually see this stuff with our own eyes, then we'll be.
I just really want it to be amazing, like that. I want it to be better, and that's the only reason I'm critical of it, because I want it to be better. I want it to be a worldwide amazing sport that everyone is part of, that then drives people into fitness, into changing their lives through CrossFit, which is essentially what I've done. So that's why I'm uber critical of it, not because because people watch the games and go, do you know what? I want to go try CrossFit. You want to
be proud of it. You want to be proud of it.
Yeah. You're so much better at this than me, Kat. But yeah, sorry, Jace, you were moving on.
I was moving on. Don't worry.
You are.
I've made notes. So of when you interrupt me. So moving on. I'm actually glad we got Kat on, because she mentioned something right at the beginning about like not doing benchmark workouts at your box, trying not to put anxiety on the members of your affiliate, which was really nice. I know, like I commented on a post you put up quite a while ago now, because it was an older gentleman doing a workout, and you were like, this is CrossFit, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, and you're like, that's my dad, and I was like, whoa, this was nice. And last week we were talking about Hyrox, actually, and basically we had a question, which was, what is a Hyrox master trainer? We kind of didn't necessarily get an answer to that question, to be honest. I'm still not 100% sure what they do, but I re-listened to the episode today, actually, because I was a little bit there were a few things said that I maybe tried to get my point across and failed, and I was a bit not really sure about that. I listened back to it today, actually. I finally had the courage to do it, and I think it's one of those things where in the moment, in my mind, things were a lot worse than they were when I listened back, and I was like, oh, actually, this wasn't as bad. I think I interrupted enough. There's a clear point halfway through where I don't speak anymore. I noticed that until Sam asked me a question that I was not ready for. So, I may have checked out for a little bit. But my real point was that we were talking about Hyrox, and then we kind of moved into whether or not it would be like health based. And I just think CrossFit is so good for anyone that needs to improve their health. And I think that, as much as we love talking about the games and all of that, and there are people that watch the games and they're like, yeah, I want to go and do CrossFit, and that looks cool. I just think when you go to like your local affiliate, you see incredible things that you don't see even at the games. And when we were speaking last week, it was a little bit it almost seemed flipped. It was like, oh, Hyrox is so accessible. Like everyone can run, everyone can push something, everyone can do this. And, CrossFit, all these really complicated movements that people can't do. And the more I thought about that over the week, the more I was like, I think something like Hyrox is for people that spend a lot of time in the gym and want something fun to do at the weekend. They're people that are already at a level of fitness where they're like, oh, I want to express that fitness now. And I actually think CrossFit is where you've got so many, because the kind of the argument is, oh, well, there's so many things and there's always new things and people have to learn this. And it's like, yeah, and that's great, because you can teach somebody to move again who maybe hasn't moved in a certain way for years. And yeah, you're not throwing, loads of weight on a barbell and making them do it. Maybe you're just making them like do an air squat, but they've never, broken below parallel in, I don't know, since they were a child, kind of thing. And I guess maybe we don't push that enough as kind of the positive thing. So that was where my mind went, but I just kind of wanted to open that up as well to other people that maybe had some thoughts on that, and obviously our resident expert on helping people get fit and healthy, because only one of us owns a box.
Well, I think to me, Hyrox is a sport. And it's to me, it's just an expression of fitness. And CrossFit as a sport is also an expression of fitness. CrossFit is a methodology that we use to get people to a level of fitness. So there's like 3 distinct things there. And Hyrox, I think, can exist, and I think it's fine. I don't see it as a methodology. I don't see people opening up Hyrox gyms. I don't see people, training people specifically in Hyrox. I mean, if you look at everything they do, it's all the same things that we do in CrossFit. It's just sort of organized in a different way and expressed a different way. But to me, it's no different.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really why we had the conversation last week, because we were seeing kind of gyms being like Hyrox gyms, and then this idea of master trainers, and we were like, well, what's going on? In fact, the episode was like, what's happening at Hyrox? Because we understood what a Hyrox event was. That's pretty self-explanatory, but it was kind of all these other elements that we were like, oh, this is quite interesting. And I think Tom even mentioned it last week, that kind of the fact that CrossFit was a methodology. You may be able to hear children screaming outside my door.
Do you want to tag out, Jason?
Do you want to tag out? Absolutely not.
No.
No, I'm going to hide in here.
Yeah.
The thing is now Rochelle's going to come into the YouTube comments and be like, tell
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. You're in your flow.
I was in my flow. Yeah. Well, I was saying that, like, CrossFit, brilliant. CrossFit, the sport, is an expression of the methodology that came quite kind of naturally out of the methodology. People were practicing CrossFit, and then they were like, let's have a throwdown. Oh, actually, I think I can do this a bit faster than you. Let me try. And then then the games became what it is today. But it was very natural, and it just sort of evolved that way. Whereas with the Hyrox thing, it's like you've got an event, and then now you're maybe backtracking and being like, well, perhaps we can train people specifically for this. But even at that point, training for that, you've already, because we were like, it was the comments about like getting people off the sofa. And like the people that are on the sofa are not thinking, you know what I need to do? A Hyrox event. Like they're thinking, you know what I need to do? I need to start moving. I need to just go through the basics. And then, who knows? Maybe one day that could be a great goal for them. But you're not going from 0 to Hyrox, right? Like,
and I think you made a good point about it sort of going backwards. They started with the event, and now they're trying to sort of create something to build to the event as CrossFit did. To me, it's a financial thing, right? Events don't make a lot of money. CrossFit makes all its money on affiliates and education. That's where they make their money. They don't make money putting on events. Point in case, regionals, RIP, right? They've got other people putting those events on because it's very hard to make money at these events. So to me, it's just Hyrox is putting on events, and maybe they're not making a whole ton of money on it because it's expensive to put events on. And they're trying to backtrack and say like, well, how can we, build this financial backing to support it? And it's a good way to do it, but it's like copycat sort of. I said it.
Well, I guess the difference between a Hyrox event in terms of I actually think the Hyrox events probably do make loads of money.
A lot of money.
Because a regionals event, for example, is not your Gen Pop sort of coming through the door doing your workouts. Whereas in London 2 weeks ago, there were like 4,500 people who all paid to do that event. Whereas at regionals, there would be like 60 people paying and then some amount of people watching, which is what I imagine why they didn't make any money. But something like Hyrox, which I don't know how much, I imagine it's like 50 quid. So if 4.5 times 50 quid is a lot of quid. Quick maths. But you're right. Like but then it's like, okay, well, if we've got all these people over here,
right? How can we make more money?
That want to do this event? Yeah. How do we make more money, and how do we make our event different from turf games? Or you wouldn't even know what that's another functional fitness event basically in the UK. How do we make it different to that? How do we, we release some programming. We get some famous fitness people to endorse our programming. You know, we make some famous fitness people master trainers, you know, or influencers master trainer, or whatever it is to make some more money. Like, that's how it works. And to be fair, they do it really well. You know, their marketing is on point. Like, people want to do it. It's a test of fitness. But as you say, like, you're not going to go couch to Hyrox. I wanted to find an H word that you would come from to Hyrox, but I can't think. Hay bale to Hyrox. I don't know.
Hospital bed. Hyrox.
Hospital bed to Hyrox. Yeah, mate, that'd be an epic. In fact, I'm going to take that Instagram after, just in case I end up in a hospital bed again.
As I said, when I re-listened to the episode, some of the thing when he started talking of like heart rate variability and the way to train to be better at Hyrox and the way like triathletes train and things like that, very interesting. And actually, that's really good. And that's what I would expect from someone who is like, well, my goal is to train you to do really well at this specific type of event. And that makes perfect sense to me. It was when we started kind of being like, oh, you know, and whereas. And I guess, you know, it's that kind of being ready to jump to the defense of CrossFit and be like, well, hold on. CrossFit is the best thing to do if you need to get fit. Don't tell me that, you know, people that are unfit need to start doing Hyrox. That seems like way down the line. Anyway, it kind of didn't sit right with me. And I was like, let's just make sure that I'm on the record of saying, don't worry, guys, I've got your back. I'm here to defend you. And yeah, I just know we kind of all discussed it a little bit after the recording. Yeah. And I thought, you know what, let's just throw it out there. I don't know if you want to keep beating that dead horse, maybe not. What I would like to switch to now quickly is a new segment I'm trialing, and I'm happy to workshop names, guys. So if anyone's got a better name than this, go for it. But I'm going to start with plate stack positive. That's going to be where I'm going with this. And basically, I put out a message yesterday because, and it's so ironic that then CrossFit put out that typo, and then I lost it again of like, oh, come on, CrossFit, why are you doing this? Because I just find myself getting so, like, we want to say nice things. I want to be more positive. And the more I look at like the sport of CrossFit, the more reasons I have to moan and complain. And I realized I never come back from the box moaning and complaining. Well, yeah, maybe moaning and complaining about how much I hurt, but not like I don't have a bad time. It's always good, right? And I thought, well, I'm not alone in that. I know everybody loves their time at the box kind of thing. And I just put out a message like, I don't want to be always complaining on Plate Stack Chat. Please, can people give me something nice to say, some little wins that they've had, and my goal is to try and do this every week, is just to try and get some positive feedback. So I'd like to share some with you now, if that's okay.
I also have some. I don't know if you noticed, I did something similar. After you did that, because I figured you'd make. Well, no, but I figured you'd make that a segment. We don't, for the record, guys, we don't talk about this stuff off pod. Like, we just come on pod and do what we do.
Basically, it's bad enough I have to talk to Sam for an hour a week. Let's not to that, please. So
you're so uplifting and positive, Jason. Like, what would I do without you?
Well, you didn't reply, so you know I'm still not going to have a thing from you here on my list. But I do actually from Tom. Maybe we might get there, but I don't know. We've got 10 minutes, mate. I don't know how many positive things you've got to say about
the warm up for this segment is getting pretty tenuous. Let's get into it.
Right. Well, the first one I was planning to start with wasn't a message I was sent, but I thought this is super positive, and it was that Cat's gym had been open for 100 days, but we've already mentioned that. So, but I thought, what a way to kick off this. Matt Hawksworth, he did 400 burpees yesterday, but then he said he's not sure if that's a good thing. But I know that is part of a whole group of people that are just helping each other out through the month of May to try and do as many burpees as they can. And they have hit some ridiculous numbers. Wow. Some people opened it up a little bit more broad than specific to one thing. Dan Hilton saying it being a constant in a crazy time, it being the easiest hour of the day. So, you know, often hear it at the most fun, easiest. CrossFit Glasgow weighed in. Woo. CrossFit changed so many lives that it changed the industry entirely. The rest is noise.
Gav's such a legend.
And then I wanted to finish with this one because this is a little thing and then a kind of bigger thing from it. So on Tuesday, Gemma Ashley PB'd her deadlift. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it was more than her body weight. So I think a lot of people probably think, well, I deadlift more than my body weight, maybe double. But she's been doing CrossFit a little while now, but basically she had a knee surgery a few years ago and was told she'd never be able to run again. So now she's running, she's squatting, she's like, I'm lifting like more than 40 kilos above my head, and then
Solid.
she PB'd her deadlift, and that everyone like celebrates all the wins with her. So I thought, oh, that's really nice, isn't it? So they're the ones. I had a few more, but guess what? Saving them in my back pocket for next week. So, but there we go. The very first Weight Stack Positive from me. I'll kick over to Sam if he wants to share something nice.
I've only got two. Spugmondo said, after nearly 10 years of CrossFit, I'm able to make it through the warm-up. Which I thought was a win, because there's some days when I'm like, I'm not making it through this warm-up. And then Zach Wild, who is currently on a flight to Vegas right now, funnily enough, to beat the World Championships of Hyrox, weirdly. But he just put, so the question was, you know, happy stories, good things about CrossFit. He just put, I met you, hearty face. So, just melts me. But yeah, that's testament to the community, certainly. All of those stories, testament to the amazing CrossFit community that live around the world. It's just great, isn't it? I mean, we've got a lady on our podcast today who lives easily 1,000 miles away from us, and it's amazing that.
So cool.
Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, we've got Connor. Oh, there we go. You got it. This is Connor Kemp. He is in.
Well, it's Claire.
Is it actually? Oh, it is from Claire.
It just says Claire at the end, and also we know Connor doesn't say anything nice.
Well, yeah, no. Connor's a teenager. He just grunts at people generally. Sam did a wonderful WOD on Sunday. Big up, Sam. I'm guessing you're talking about me. Claire and I had worked out together at the weekend, which was cool. In fact, she was taking the class, I think, if I remember rightly. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what I did on Sunday. But yeah, we all worked out and hung out. Again, CrossFit community, like there is none better. There is none better. Thank you, Claire. I love you.
Tom's reply was positive things from the affiliate gathering.
Yeah, like so I was very fortunate to get invited to the UK and Ireland CrossFit affiliate gathering this last weekend. And so like kind of CrossFit affiliate owners from around the UK and Ireland kind of came together in Mid Wales, well, North Wales actually, but anyway, and I think the reason it kind of filled, like going into the gym is great. You know, you can have a good training session. It gives you that dopamine hit, and being able to attend that and to meet individuals, but also hear individuals with varying different roles from around the UK centric community was just really kind of inspiring. Not only are like affiliate owners making arrangements to be able to like get cover, because often they're needing to do some weekend classes to make the journey, you know, off their own kind of, you know, off their own account as well. You know, whether it's, I know some were closing their affiliates, others were having to get others in to kind of like cover. But there's just, it was great to kind of like meet people face to face, you know, after 2 years of mainly podcasting in my spare room like this. It was great to kind of meet some people and to kind of hear so many different kind of stories, but also to hear like from the kind of like the country office. So Carl Steadman, Rachel Steadman, Ollie Mansbridge is the kind of European, let's say director, manager, like
Emperor.
Just like, it's an exciting time, I think, for kind of CrossFit on this side of the pond. Like there's loads of local initiatives that the country office are kind of getting behind, and it really links into what, you know, Jason, you raised when we were just talking about kind of like CrossFit. It's easy for CrossFit the methodology to get entwined and lost in CrossFit the sport, and the two are completely different. And critiquing and criticizing double unders, which we had last week, right? You know, that is not like it's used within the methodology, but it's not it doesn't have to be in there, right? It's a test of athleticism, just like kind of the snatches. And I just kind of, I just heard lots and heard loads of examples, and I think there'll be more and more of that, of like how CrossFit, the methodology, is changing lives, as many other kind of training systems can do, because I love to sit on the fence, but it's unequivocal that, and the evidence is out there that like the CrossFit methodology is changing lives. And it was just a real positive to see the enthusiasm of individual affiliate owners, but also the kind of like, there's moves happening in UK CrossFit at the kind of country level, right? I think there's a force to be reckoned with in kind of like further changing the fitness industry and changing lives in the process.
So I mean, I want to dig deeper into this, but I know we need another episode to do it.
We can do another episode, that's for sure.
Well, I know, and I know that maybe there's a guest we'd like to get on if we could for that episode, maybe. So that's why. Nothing against you, Kat, but I know that you did.
I hear you.
UK and affiliate
on
gathering.
a separate, like on an associated note, actually, I, as part of like, because obviously it's affiliate owners there, one of the talks by Carl Steadman was the "What is CrossFit," which is given in the L1, and I've not done my L1 yet, and like kind of to hear that, and it reminded me, I think, it anchored me back to like, let's remember the methodology, and let's not get lost in what kind of the games is doing. Kind of like, if we get back to kind of constantly varied functional movement, right, that's where you're like, okay, if you use that as the basis, and to hear someone like, a flow master like level 4 like Carl give it, he's been giving that for 13 years, he knows how to deliver it too. So it was a good experience for someone like myself.
It's right on my desk.
There it is.
Level 1. I refer to it often.
Mine's up there. Mine's above me.
I had a couple wins this week. We had a couple of my athletes got double unders for their very first double unders, and we got a couple first rope climbs. And when I say rope climbs, I just mean they lodged their feet together appropriately and were able to bear weight and maybe go one time reclasp their feet in the correct manner. So that was really fun for us.
Nice. Yeah.
And I have tomorrow on the rig report, I have a Cat's Rants about double unders. So that exact subject about double unders, single unders, who cares? Like you're jumping, you're exercising. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
that was a fun one to record.
I had to scale my, not my first ever. Well, this is going to sound really, doesn't matter. I had to scale. Basically, I screwed my knee up because I'm big and I'm trying to do double unders. The argument is, why am I jumping up and down at 140 kilos? Is probably the question, right? Especially doing double unders. Now, normally I can get sort of 30, 40 unbroken. Yesterday, tried to do it, did one, literally just, I had to tap out of the workout. I was in agony. My knee just was like, no, thank you. But then it's like, just leave yourself at the door. Like, why am I pushing myself to do, I'm sure we'll hear this in the rig report tomorrow, but why am I pushing myself to do this movement that, yes, it's functional. Like jumping up and down is a great thing for you, but maybe not when you're 140 kilos. Mm-hmm. Like, is it necessary? There are other movements that I could be doing, that single unders, for one, don't have to jump as high, not as impactful on the knees and the rest of the body. There are other scaling options available for that. But yeah, I really struggle with that because it's like when your coach says, go get a dumbbell, you're going to go, it's a heavy dumbbell, a heavy dumbbell for the day. And you all walk over to the dumbbells at the same time and you see everyone picking up the different, and you're like, oh, I've just seen this lady pick up a 20 kilo, so I can't possibly pick up a 10 because that's what I was going to pick up. This person's definitely less stronger than me, and they're using a 15. So that gets me every time, and I need to just get over myself and get out of my own ass.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Have you heard of Bill Grundler's? Bill Grundler had a suggestion for a scale for jump rope that was arm pumps on the Echo bike or on the assault bike.
Ooh, no, but that sounds dirty.
It's good. I mean, 40 double unders, just 40 arm pumps. It gets your heart rate up. It's no impact. I love it. We use it here all the time for people that, you know, have knee or ankle or foot things happening.
That's good. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try that. I'm gonna do that next time.
There you go.
Thank you,
We-
Kat.
we-
Thank
we
you, Phil.
We had double unders in the workout today, and the thing that got in my head today was I've seen a lot of people post that recently of like, did you really do RX if you hit the time cap? And this kind of like, and sort of like, oh, what's the stimulus? So the workout today was 5. Well, we did a 3 rep max strict press first of all, which
Love.
I do not like. That's not my
Love
friend.
that. I love that.
And then, but then the part B was 5 rounds of 3 wall walks, 9 double dumbbell power cleans, and then 27 double unders. And it was like a 15-minute time cap. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that seems like a generous time cap to me. And so and the dumbbell weight is 22.5, and I'm like, well, that's what we use in the open, and we were snatching that, so I think it'll be all right. Yeah, and then I did like 10, 20, something like that. So I was like, okay, good. But the anxiety I had because of all these stupid posts that I've seen of people being like, well, did you really? Because I was thinking, well, maybe I should go lighter. But
I have, since we've been open 100 days, I've never had a time cap on any of my workouts.
But where's freedom?
Never.
When that workout.
Yeah, that's it. When you finished.
No time caps. We do a lot of AMRAPs, just so that people aren't feeling less than. But whenever we do have a workout for time, I just make sure that it's my goal to make sure that everybody finishes around the same time. And if they don't, then I read the room wrong.
And that's the sign of a good coach, right? And I can tell you're a good coach because you actually, I can tell that you care about people. You're not just out to make money out of memberships, right?
Yeah,
exactly. No, exactly. But what I love about the coaches that coach me is that they know they can insight into everybody in the room, and they can talk through. You know, it's just a look. There's a look that I get from the coach, and I go to pick up, and they look, and then and it's that look of, is it your business doing that? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh yeah. Like today, the workout was hang power clean 10 8 6 4 2 hang power cleans, front squats, and hand release push-ups. Time cap 11 minutes, and the RX weight was 60 kilos, and I was thinking to myself, 60 kilos, got that in the bag. And then I went to my coach. I was like, 60 kilos, like that seems like a trap. And he was like, yeah, man, that's a trap. You don't want to be going. 40 is probably where you want to be today. Like if you want to finish in the 11 minutes, like that's probably where you want to be. Like, and I did 40 and I finished in like 5.5 minutes, and that was the idea of the workout. But he was able to kind of coach everybody individually, and we, as you say, we all finished around the same time. You know, because it's like, right, this is a sprint workout. This is the stimulus of the workout. And again, that's what I love about about CrossFit, is that your coach is there. It's not just like, I don't know, Zumba or whatever. Not that any of these things are bad, like at all. And I said this before, like if I just want people to go and exercise, right? If it's CrossFit, great. If it's doing some other programming, great. Go get fit. But do what works for you. But what I love about the idea about CrossFit is that it does work for everybody. There is a scaling option for everybody, whether you're 5, whether you're 105. There are scaling and lower than 5. You know, whether you're 3, 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It works for everybody. There is no. It doesn't. Oh, it can't possibly work for you.
We don't even use the word scaled in my gym. That's not a word that we use. Or RX. There's options.
Yeah.
So there's workout options.
Well, that's it. So the prescribed the kind of, our coach will put the weight up because there are some people who need that. Like, so and for me, for example, that tells me roughly what the stimulus is of the weight. So I'll know he put 60 up. I know that I'm not got much business doing that, so I'll probably take it down somewhere. But I
Mhm.
know what he's trying to do with that workout by writing that on the board. Whereas other people will need they'll just pick the weight that they want. They don't even bother looking at the weight on the board. They're like, okay, I'll do that at this weight. Great,
Right.
you know. And the coach might go, oh, maybe you need to go a little bit heavier if you feel like that's good for you, or maybe you consider doing this or whatever. But it's just a better like a great coaching experience. I love it. Love it.
So, future episode is just going to be interviewing Kat to find out what other terms are and are not allowed in her.
Yeah.
Now,
we should do that.
Maybe the word box has been thrown out. I don't know. If there's ever a word to be thrown out, that's my choice. Is get rid of box. So call it a gym.
What's your have you got a favorite CrossFit word, Kat? Like, is there like because obviously you don't want to use some phrases like RX, for example, because it can be misleading. But are there other ones that you really love?
We just call them options, right? So when the workout's on the board, and I use Wodify, and Wodify has an RX button on the thing, so people are aware that it exists. Yeah. But what I tell people is, if you did the workout that was on the board, you click RX, and there are enough options written on the board for everyone to click RX. And I just encourage people in the comments to put any kind of options that were different than I used a 12-inch box. Like I say box jumps. I don't say 24-inch, whatever. So if people do box jumps, they did the workout. Sometimes I'll say box jumps or step ups. So guess what? You get to click the RX button because you did one of those things.
And in the note, that's what I like about Wodify. You got the notes section. So you can put your score, and then there's like notes. So you put even pull-ups, like blue band. So I might do banded pull-ups. So like blue band, RX, blue band pull-ups, and then whatever else is written there, which I think is it's good. And
even like what we did a for time workout the other day, and it was a rep scheme. It was like 24, 18, 12. And then right next to it, I put a different rep scheme, 15, 12, 9. And the way I explained it was, I said, you can do either the workout on the left or the workout on the right. And I said, the workout on the right, which was the fewer reps, is not a scaled option. It is not a less than option. It's just a different option. And it depends on how you're feeling today. If you didn't get a lot of sleep last night, if you're having a hard day, if you ate like crap, do the one on the right. You're still going to get a great workout. If you're feeling like you've got tiger's blood coursing through your veins, do the one on the left. Neither one there wasn't like an advanced and a beginner. It's just two options.
Love it.
They love it. I love it. Yeah. It works for us.
I'm going to have to come work out at your box sometime.
Please do.
When I'm in the States. For the first time.
Do it.
So, wow. What a roller coaster ride. It's even ended with
where do we start?
Compile a list of all the things Sam's doing. He's promised to do a Hyrox event. He's now visiting Kat to do a workout there. So someone call him out if you don't see him accomplishing these goals. Help him reach
It's a bucket list.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on, Kat. It's been lovely speaking with you again. It's always a pleasure. So I think you guys going live tomorrow with Clydesdale Fitness, is that?
We have been going live all day today with semifinal athletes, and pretty much all day tomorrow. So I don't know that we'll do a roundtable or not, but just if you tune into our channel, most likely one of us is talking to somebody.
Basically, if people haven't heard, there's some semi-final events. A few athletes are going, and I decided let's try and speak to every single one of them.
Exactly.
So one of the time it was like starting at 6, and then the next one was like 6:30. I was like, wow, these guys have got it. They've got it. They've got a system. So if you want to hear more from Kat, you can go there, or you can follow her Instagram, which is nicely on the screen here, CrossFit Coach Kat. Of course, you can follow Tom at Chalking Fitness and find out what else is going on in the UK. Who knows if there'll be some like little posts coming up from his recent excursion, maybe.
And the podcast, some awesome UK centric episodes coming up between now and Sid.
This is the point at which we're going to give you a shout out, because I loved seeing you around that table with the background of North Wales, the mountains, people sat around it just looked epic. I'm so looking forward to the content coming from Chalking Fitness over the next months, because if it wasn't amazing before, because it obviously was, it is definitely going to be amazing in the coming couple of months.
It was a bit of a dream to kind of record on location at something like that, but I'll leave it there.
He'll leave it there. Nice. Well, thank you, Tom. Of course, Sam, you can follow at La Roche Original. I'm at Jason CF Media if you want to see what I'm doing. We're all at plate.stack.chat. And well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, gents.
Bye.